Hello, welcome to episode 2 of FPL The Onion. I am Ash and I'm joined by my co-host Nick.
Hello, Shlee. How you doing?
Yeah, good mate, thanks. Here we are again. I'm hosting this time, so we'll see how that changes, but apparently I'm recording and we will, hopefully everything is working well in the background. I've got new backgrounds, new onions. Any comment on the onions?
New onions every week. I like the color variants you've got there. Very nice.
It is nice, isn't it? It's a very good photo. Much better than our webcams. Right, let's move on. So we have got 1, 2, 3. We've got 6 slides to get through. And we are starting a bit late, so we're going to try and keep it under an hour. So it'll be 1 minute a slide, and then we're going to spend 58 minutes talking about Nick's decisions for next week. Right. So, anything you want to chit chat about, Nick, before we get cracking?
Well, I think the first thing to say is just I know we did a little episode last week, but it's so complex at the moment. It's just insane. I've had a really busy week with work, and I haven't had that much time to think about it. But when I have been thinking about it late at night, it's so complicated. And so as I've been messaging you, I've just been looking forward to getting your advice. So it's nice to be able to record it and stream it, but really just looking forward to chatting through and figuring out what we're going to do.
Yeah, I've had a pretty mentally challenged and mental week. This has taken up quite a bit of time, just prepping this and stuff. But yeah, me wildcarding last. I can't remember. When we recorded last week, I don't think I had wildcarded. What day did we do it compared to the game week? Because I think soon after that I went for it and then went into quite a deep dark hole of planning. I can't remember which.
Well, we did it. We did it on Saturday. We did it Saturday night, didn't we? Ahead of the Tuesday deadline.
Yeah, I don't think I pulled it at that point, but then I did. And then I've got some of my notes written down here that I was scribbling around, thinking about it. And it was a bit of a weird one because I think this in a way did help because I almost felt this is maybe what some of the, call them pros, some of the content creators must think. They're immersed in it so much that I thought that would maybe make it a bit worse if things went wrong. But almost by the time deadline came around, I was like, I put so much thought into this that even if it goes badly, I know, I don't know, I wouldn't be as annoyed. I don't know, I think I almost got to a different level of like, I planned this so much that hopefully it won't go that wrong. But if it does, couldn't have done anything more.
No, that's that's fair, and I think you've got to try and maintain that mentality, haven't you? I think I'm going to struggle a little bit with that, with whatever decision I make this week if it goes badly. I think because I have looked at so many different options, but yeah, you've got to try and make the decision for the right reason, and then you leave it in the lap of the FPL gods, really, haven't you? So.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a single week normal decision is a bit easier in a way than a wild card because with a wild card, hopefully it doesn't go disastrously wrong. I did have Mark Sutherland's thoughts in my head quite a bit when he was like, the one thing you got to do is make sure your pre-game, your pre-wildcard team doesn't, outscore your post one. So that's what this table's showing. Luckily, I did 7 points better off, which is not great, but the captaincy swing was pretty drastic. I definitely would have captained Jota had I kept it as it was. That's right, because I think I had that on the screen when we were chatting. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Jota's the one, even though he got 90 minutes in the cup, but he scored, and Leicester were an easy fixture. So that was a bit of a shame, but otherwise it seemed to go okay.
Yeah, and the big looks like the big jump from those things is the fact that you had KDB. So yes, you captained him, but you had KDB and Jota kind of both bringing in the points. That seems to be the biggest difference, doesn't it, between the two?
Yeah, and actually looking down the list, I mean, first thing that springs to mind is the first four names are the same. I mean, my pre one was including the Digne transfer, which was going to be my transfer, so it would have been the first three, and Digne was new. But yeah, Gray is pretty lucky him going off. That got replaced with Laporte. I got that the wrong way around, haven't I? Laporte got 7 and Cancelo got 6, I think.
No, I think Laporte got 6.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. I thought he was ahead for a while towards the end. Right. And then, Jota was a bit annoying. Bowen was the same, but KDB instead of Rafinha. And then these guys did a bit better. So, but for sure, had I had this team now, I'd have a Gray problem. King and the Ronaldo non-headache does feel quite amazing. So I think it was partly avoiding the Ronaldo headache. And as a friend just texted me at work, he's got Ronaldo and he's just wildcarded enough to maybe take that headache away because I think it is a nightmare. Do you think he'll play both games?
Yeah, I think he will. My bigger concern, and I think we're probably going to talk about this at length later, is that I just think Bruno is that there isn't the minutes risk because I think he's just so he's in his prime, whereas Ronaldo's not. And I think because Ranić's changed the formation and is now in this 4-3-3, and he doesn't look like he's going back to the 4-4-2. I just think that Bruno is going to be at the fulcrum of the attack. Obviously, he's going to be in the 10 role, and obviously Ronaldo is going to be potentially fighting out for that one central role with Cavani. So I think he will definitely start the Southampton games. I don't expect him to be benched 2 games in a row. I think Ranić's going to risk a bomb going off in his squad if he benches Ronaldo again. But there is a chance that he has his minutes managed. Maybe again not in the Southampton game, but he could not start the Brighton game. Ranić could almost be just rotating Cavani and Ronaldo. So yeah, we can talk about that a bit later on, but it is a headache because with the double game week for United, you are talking about captaining a United attacker. I mean, Andy's been talking a little bit this week about captaining De Gea, but I just think they concede 1 goal and suddenly you're like, okay, great. But I do like the fact that they're both home fixtures. Southampton did really well against Spurs though and scored obviously 3 there, but I don't expect Brighton to kind of tear up trees at Old Trafford. So yeah, for me it's either Ronaldo or Bruno. I don't have Bruno and I do have Ronaldo. So at the moment I'm captaining Ronaldo, but I don't love it. So but anyway, before we move on to that, what it would be interesting to ask you is just having played the wild cards. The thing that I noted obviously when some of the team sheets came out was like Edouard, being benched. And I think again, there's so many people that had brought Edouard in, whether it be on a wildcard or just brought him in a transfer. But kind of talk me through the emotions of your week as it went, if you can remember those.
You said that in such a leading way, as if you wanted to see me cry or something.
Well, it all came good in the end with the last kick of the game week.
I know, yeah. Well, it was looking pretty average until last night when, I got the Ramsdale and De Gea the right way round. Martinelli was a nightmare, but yeah, Jota, albeit over 100%, was good, and Trent, being like Ramsdale, was quite good. But yeah, it was the night before more when that City goal went in and they kept a clean sheet that was lush. Yeah, Edouard, the risk was there, I suppose. In another team that I play with a friend, we bought Elise in, so I was kind of thinking along the Palace line. That thought was it. The first night was a disaster because I only had Dina in the 3-3, didn't have Coutinho, didn't have Ramsey, which we'll come on to in a moment. Someone I know had Ramsey. I was so gutted about that because I didn't think you had anyone in that game, and then when you said, oh yeah, Ramsey's 14 points and 2%, obviously I was pretty angry about that.
You thought Nick's just randomly quoting Ramsey points and percentages.
Yeah. And then what was the other game that night? Was that United? Oh, United Burnley. Yeah, so I was happy about that. Ronaldo 1 pointer, albeit bloody Kane did nothing for me. But on the sort of selection, basically, I think after I probably spent, I don't know, whatever the time was on the wild card, probably 80. No, what would it have been? Probably 50% of it was getting 13 players in. I got everyone in and was pretty happy and settled, except for Edouard and Harrison. Those were the 2 not sure what to do with them spots. And then what I found quite helpful was writing down in each of the next 7 game weeks, and I've still got my crappy bit of paper here that I did it on the back of whatever Froggy is there. What game weeks I'd need to play those 2 players in, and it was a mixture of I don't need any, I need 2 playing 0 or 1 kind of thing. And then I also wrote down all their XGI over the last few weeks and what team they played for and what their fixtures were like. And I basically wrote down about 8 names and chose those 2 and didn't really go too well.
So what was the reason? What were those 2 spots in your team for? Were they just because you needed kind of people below a certain price in order to be able to make it all work?
I just thought everyone else was not obvious, but just seemed good. The starting 11 there, only Edouard, was the sort of tricky one. So everyone else, I thought, Dina's nailed. Gerrard got them moving well. Martinelli's got a double coming up. He's cheap. Kane, I just like that differential. And actually, I think on the chat last week, we I think I almost like thought Spurs are number one there for the rank. I know you didn't have it on the screen, but I almost didn't believe it. And then I went away, and then they've got like the highest XG home and away. And Gianni was talking about it, and someone else captained him, I think, maybe on the wire someone did. Anyway, I was like, that actually seems a really good differential. And even though I'd spoken about not having big hitters up front and midfielders scoring the most points, I thought at Ronaldo kind of to Kane swap was a good idea. Aït-Nouri's cheap, he plays in 30. Bruyne might play in 30, he's cheap. You know, the striker spots are a nightmare, so I definitely wanted someone cheap. De Gea and Ramsdale, you kind of influenced me when you said, oh no, I really like that combo, so I didn't change that. So that just left Edouard and Harrison. And then I had 12.5 max to spend on those two. And in fact, I probably shouldn't have gone anywhere near that because Salah looks like he's going to double rise. But 12.5 would have got me Salah on the nose in a couple of weeks' time. And that was it.
Yeah.
And Edouard had the best XGI. Yeah, I thought about Weghorst, Cornet, Ramsey I thought of. Didn't think of Coutinho was too expensive. Watkins, Tony, Rafinha, and Elise. So...
Yeah, I mean, because again, I think we spoke about Edouard last time. I did like that, but now that you look at it, I know hindsight, it's always 2020 in this, but you look at this and you see how many attackers they've got, and I think he is literally playing for that one striker spot, with kind of 3 or 4 others there. And are you worried now going forward that he's not going to start?
I don't know enough about the Palace team and what's going to happen, but they've got 2 good next fixtures, so I'm definitely going to wait. I think if I was going to take a hit, because I've got basically the next 2 weeks lined up with moving the big hitters around, De Bruyne to Fernandez and then to Salah, I was thinking if I'm going to take a hit, it'd probably be to jump on Villa. I mean, I was partly thinking Martinelli to Ramsey this week for a hit, along with the Fernandez move, just because getting that coverage would be sweet, but and I can't afford Coutinho. Watkins only.
Well, and he's much cheaper than Martinelli, who's already much cheaper than the kind of 6 mil options, isn't he? So
but
Ramsey looks good.
But then also something like Edouard to Weghorst, if Edouard is, I know he's on your radar as well. That might be an option. So I'm definitely going to wait. Yeah, it's pretty peeved, but maybe fell into it, and maybe had I even gone for Elise, maybe his turn next week will be to get rotated. So maybe Palace isn't a void. Lisa didn't double up.
Yeah, true. The other one's Aït-Nouri, isn't it? And I think I probably talked you into him as well, just because he's on. They've got amazing fixtures from 28. He plays in. Wolves have a game in 30. He's taking. He was taking kind of set pieces as well. He's got that sweet left foot. But the thing that really worried me about Aït-Nouri was the fact that Johnny was pictured back in training. Johnny was on the bench, but obviously then I don't think anyone saw Aït-Nouri losing his place back to Marcal again. But now that you've got Marcal and Johnny going for that role, it just looks pretty dodgy now. And I'm in the same boat with Martinelli, and obviously with Lowton on my wildcard was the bad one, where you think you're getting a player in who's nailed and has got doubles or has got guaranteed fixtures in certain game weeks, and then when they don't have, they're just a problem then, aren't they? So
yeah. One thing I did say last week as well was not focusing on game weeks that far away like that. And obviously it's impossible not to because you're wildcarding now and you've got a plan for it. But yeah, maybe Aït-Nouri was thinking too far ahead. I must admit I didn't see the Johnny news. I mean, I saw Marçal started and then got injured and I was like, sweet, nicest possible way. That might be long term. Aït-Nouri is definitely back in, but I didn't think about Johnny actually.
Yeah, and actually, even just you saying that, I had seen that Marcal went off, and obviously that's why Aït-Nouri came on. But I think actually, given the Marcal injury, you can hold him and just see what's going on with him as well, can't you? As long as you're not playing him this week, I think. So
yeah, well, that's why I don't think you should on your options later do anything with Lowton, because I think it's too soon. Because you could swap Lowton to whoever, and then that whoever gets injured. It's too far out to do it.
I know, and that's the thing, but it's just with the Burnley double. I don't want to miss out on that really. But
okay. Anyway, here's your team.
So
through anything that was pretty mad about this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Ramsey goals was incredible, and when you've got a player who's that low owned, and it's also quite nice as well sometimes having a player where you're like, well, I was never ever going to captain him, so you're just delighted that you got those points.
Yeah.
If I'd captained Ramsey, everyone would have been like, you're mad. So actually, just to get those points, pretty sweet. Bowen was annoying. Obviously, he's my vice, but again, I would never have captained him over De Bruyne. And then when De Bruyne matched him, that was obviously a bit of a relief.
Yeah.
I did watch a bit of the City game, and it's funny because obviously De Bruyne is on set pieces. He's one of the best players in the world, so there's always a good chance of him returning. But he is quite. I do see why people always say he's so deep. He is quite deep, and I think he was very, very lucky to get that goal. Obviously, have you seen the goal? It was a pretty bad mistake, and he did. He wasn't peppering the goal with shots or anything like that, but he is that good that he can kind of just pop up with a great goal now and then, and obviously he's going to capitalise on a mistake like that. But I had a funny moment because I was watching the game before, and then I went off to my wife and I kind of painting. We were painting our utility room. And I was kind of just constantly checking my phone for updates and probably not pulling my weight in the painting part. But I remember I walked back out into the hall, and I still had the TV on in the other room, and I could hear like the shouting. And I obviously heard the shouting just as the first shot went against the keeper, and as it came out to De Bruyne, I just heard the commentators shouting De Bruyne. And I literally ran into the lounge and almost did like a knee slide into the lounge celebration. So it was a pretty good moment. Because I just, having watched the game, I didn't think anything was going to happen for him, and so yeah, it looks great now, with the 11 points and the bonus and everything. But that's the other thing that's making me think a little bit about this Norwich game coming up, is that there's people saying, obviously with the Champions League restarting and them having the Champions League game in midweek, is that there'll be a lot of rotation and De Bruyne might come out. You don't want to transfer De Bruyne out before Norwich, but if he doesn't start and Bruno's got the double, that'll be really, really irritating. So I think that might be what I'm looking at as well. But just the idea of getting rid of De Bruyne before Norwich, if he does start, he could absolutely batter them, and that would be incredibly, incredibly irritating.
So talking about irritating before that if De Bruyne started and outscored Fernandez in a double.
Well, even if De Bruyne starts and just does really, he is playing Norwich still. I know Norwich have been a bit better recently, and so there is the chance they frustrate City a bit. But he is still De Bruyne, and if he plays against Norwich, he could easily get multiple returns, couldn't he? So I'm trying to look at ways potentially later of actually having both of them, but I don't know. I just think there's too many transfers. But then, so obviously the other thing for me was, with the Ramsey points and with De Bruyne captain, I went back into the top 1K, which was really, really nice. And then obviously Jota just absolutely battered me on last night. It was pretty horrendous. I think I'm back down to 2.5K or something like that, which is obviously still fantastic, and I'm delighted to be there. But yeah, Jota destroyed me. So Salah staying quiet was great, but not even having Jota, I mean, obviously even people who had him and didn't captain, he dropped their ranks, but he pulled my proverbial pants down, so that's disappointing.
Yeah, that was mad. I mean, everyone was saying he's not a big bonus magnet, and he hasn't really scored double returns very often. I think he started was he in the left the whole game? No, Firmino went off, and I guess he maybe moved in the middle, but yeah, it was still kind of lucky. And yeah, to have him so heavily captained, I think he was the highest EO, wasn't he, for top 10K? So yeah, that was pretty brutal. Double defense okay, but 16 points is a big swing.
Yeah, it's a huge swing. I think Ramsey was probably the only person who protected me slightly from Jota, because I still had a small green arrow, which was nice. Yeah. So yeah, it's okay, and I think. Obviously, Robertson got 11 points last week when Jota got 5, I think. So that was fine. But overall, I think the issue I had on my wild card was because I knew I wanted Salah back, and that was one of the reasons why I wildcarded, was to make it easy to get him back. I didn't think about having Jota and Robertson and Trent in, and then just moving Jota to Salah. That probably would have been the safer play. Because I was probably thinking, if I've got 3 Liverpool and I don't move Jota for him, then it is at least 2 transfers to get Salah back in. But obviously, again, with hindsight, that would have been the much more sensible way to do it if I could have found a way to make the funds work on that.
Did you have a benching headache at all? Like you got that pretty spot on. I was really annoyed when I saw you had Martinelli first bench and he wasn't going to come on.
Yeah, I was very pleased with that as well because it was just because of the fixture. It was the Wolves fixture, and obviously Wolves have been pretty tight. I didn't obviously expect him to get a double yellow card like that and get sent off. But when you do look at those moments, you think I could easily have had Ramsey first bench and had Martinelli on, and that would have been very painful. So
Yeah.
I was very lucky on that one.
Cool. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We might have to flick back to this, but I haven't really properly looked at this for a couple of days. But yeah, this is the ticker I make, and put the fact that Leicester have got their double in 20. Well, sorry, they got Burnley. They've got their double in 27 now. Leicester got a single. I was listening to what podcast have I listened to since we last spoke? I listened to most of the Planet FPL, the first one. I didn't listen to the one today very much, but James went properly into all the combinations and permutations for stuff coming up. So that's added in there. So those 28 oranges are likely Chelsea, Arsenal. I think you spoke about that when you think about Lukaku last week, didn't you? That might drop him. And then the grey ones, the Villa in 27, for example, they're the ones that are unlikely but possible doubles. So that's what those little squares mean. And in 30, Burnley and Southampton might come in. That was kind of the reason for Bruyne if he happens to get that single in 30 rather than a blank.
Yeah, I listened to quite a bit of that Planet FPL one as well. My brain was pretty fried by the end of it. But The one thing that did really interest me about it was that James was saying that he now doesn't think that game week 36, there's the potential that game week 36 isn't as big as everyone thinks it's going to be.
Oh, right. I thought he was making the point that 33 and 36 aren't going to have the same teams doubling, and you shouldn't underestimate free hitting in 33. Which made me
okay. I mean, yeah, I remember that as well. But I think he was laying out scenarios where 36 might not have as many of the big teams doubling as we would have hoped. And so maybe I need to go back and listen to it again. But I thought that's what he was saying. And the thing that might have a big impact on for me is whether I bench boost in 26 instead of triple captaining Salah, which again is pretty scary going against the crowd. But I do like the potential for my bench boost in 26. So, if I don't just save it for 36, because there is the potential that it's not that exciting when it arrives, and I obviously don't have the wild card to prepare for it, I could get it out of the way in 26 and kind of almost hedge against Salah's double game week where he could, lose some minutes in some of those games. That's kind of the potential. I'd still be captaining him, so I wouldn't be taking the risk massively. But obviously if he gets, 25, 30 points in that double game week, that's going to hurt. So yeah, we can look at that. We can look at that in a bit. But yeah, that's one of the things I took from that podcast. It was a very, very, very detailed one.
Yeah, nice. Okay, no, I didn't spot that. I listened to a bit of The Wire today. Only little bits of it. I can't really remember anything mega. They had what was the one they? Oh, I listened to a bit of Chris and the that Hall, and they had I can't remember the name. FPL teacher, is it? And they were going really in depth about Burnley and Man U. I thought Shaw looked amazing for Man U. Like there's so much space on that side. I don't probably think I'm going to get any United in, but I don't know. They did it pretty good. I didn't watch all that game, so maybe the one was a fair result. But I definitely think Fernandez has got to come in for me.
Yeah, I watched a bit of that game as well, a bit like with City, and yeah, United absolutely battered Burnley in the first half, and they I think the goals actually were rightfully chalked off, but if they're 2-0 up, I think they go on and win the game easily. But apparently, a lot of the statistics are showing that, and it certainly was borne out with the eye test as well, that United are just not doing anywhere near as well in the second half of games, probably because they're not fit enough to play the style that Ranieri wants them to play for 90 minutes. And so he must have been hoping that they would kill them off in the first half, and then it would be much easier in the second. But Burnley came right back at United, and Weghorst, I don't know. Weghorst is one of those where he could be a trap, and if he didn't have 4 fixtures in 2 weeks, I wouldn't be thinking about it, because he kind of goes against what I was talking about last week of getting in players who are proven. Because yeah, it was a lovely turn and it was a nice assist, but but he looked right, really, really up for it, and he looks like he's up for the fight. He's going to be an absolute Burnley fan favourite. But I'd love to be able to I'd love to see a bit more from him. But obviously he's got Liverpool next, and then obviously two back-to-back doubles. So if he doesn't do anything against Liverpool, you're not going to necessarily judge it. But he's one of those you could bring him in, and he could like not score anything in that quadruple set of games, and loads of people will have him just because the double looks so good. But the thing for me in that United game was Fernandez. I didn't have him. Obviously, he assisted Varane, and then that goal was ruled offside, and that could have been a return. I think United actually should have had a penalty. Tarkowski went into the back of Rashford, and Rashford went sprawling, and yet the ref gave a goal kick. I don't understand how it can be a goal kick. It's either, unless he judges it to be shoulder to shoulder, but if Rashford goes down and the defender doesn't get the ball, but the defender made a heavy challenge, how can it be a goal kick? So Fernandez could have had a penalty as well. That would have been brutal. We don't really talk about this, and you don't hear this spoken about that much, but it is as much about the players that you have, but it's also the players that you don't have. Like Kane against Southampton, I feared that, and he didn't do anything in that game, which again was very, very lucky for me. But a lot of this season, probably one of the reasons why I'm so high up is just because the players that I haven't had who normally would absolutely punish me, they just haven't been doing it.
Yep, well, that's definitely there's that luck factor, isn't there? I don't know what the percentages are, but we were chatting to Ali. I've had this conversation with him quite a bit. I reckon I split it down into three in my head: simple planning, complex planning, and luck. And I reckon it might be, I don't know, I do sometimes think it might be pretty evenly split into thirds. Simple planning, just knowing that there's a ticker, and like Askew was saying earlier about knowing that there's a game next week. That's a third of the points. And then a third is what we're talking about now, going into freaking ridiculous detail. But then probably as much as either of those is getting Edouard 1 point or not, Ronaldo not 1 point, missing a pen, Salah against Leicester.
Kane missing the Reguilon assist chance. It's just so many moments that could be enormous. KDB getting that ball that rolls out to him from a mistake after a rebound. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Foden. But if the player going in first scores, De Bruyne is not getting any points.
Yeah, I think it was Sterling. I was cursing when Mahrez got the penalty, because I think he's pinched him off De Bruyne, isn't he? And he missed loads, but he does seem to be on them now. And I thought, because I think Gianni had Mahrez, I was like, should have gone the cheaper option. In the end, BPS for KDB came through. I was loving that one. I think he was second, and then just must have carried on with a passing or something and got it towards the end, got the 3 bonus. That was pretty sweet.
Well, Mahrez got subbed, didn't he? This is the thing. He is class, Mahrez. He's such a brilliant player. But he's one of the first to get taken off, and sometimes he misses games that you expect him to play. And
the thing I wanted to look at on here was I couldn't quite remember the Champions League rotation. So it's Liverpool and City next week, isn't it? Well, hence they haven't got a double, whereas United and Chelsea don't play. Okay. So for that United rotation potential, that Leeds game as well, that's such a high energy game. Is he going to play Ronaldo in that? I always think, I can't remember who said, but to play Leeds, you've got to have pace. So Ronaldo maybe play the next two and he's bench for Leeds.
But that is what's funny about Ronaldo. And he's obviously not as quick as he was when he was 27, but he's no slouch. Like when he's trying to get forward, he is rapid still. I think it's just, as you say, I think that is the game. In fact, looking at that, and even just you saying about Leeds and being high energy, and then that being the game for their Champions League game, I actually do think he'll play Southampton and Brighton, and I think he'll be rested for Leeds.
So he's going to play 3 in a row. Who have you got in the Champions
League? I think he'll play Southampton and Brighton, and then I think he will miss Leeds, and then he'll play in the Champions League. I think Cavani will play Leeds.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it comes after that. Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah. So I actually think that is quite good that Leeds game is there, because I don't think it makes sense to play him against Southampton, rest him against Brighton, and then play him against Leeds away, and then play the Champions League. I think it makes much more sense to have him at Old Trafford in front of the home fans, try and smash Southampton, try and smash Brighton, and then rest him for Leeds away.
Well, that does make me a bit more nervous, but that kind of does make sense, doesn't it? But then that is still 2 games in 3 days. Now we have shown he doesn't do that a lot, but he's got 2 weeks rest, a week or so ago, and he's obviously got that rest just now.
Is it 3 days? I thought Southampton Saturday, is Brighton Tuesday, or is it Wednesday?
Not sure. Southampton's definitely the early kickoff, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know when the next one is.
Yeah. But yeah, just looking at that and just looking at that Leeds fixture makes me think Cavani will play that Leeds game.
But then Cavani will be even less pace.
Yeah, but I don't think it's necessarily about pace. I think it will be about energy and having the energy to go to compete with Leeds energy. But yeah, that'll be an amazing game, that Leeds game, because United will obviously tire in the second half, and Leeds probably won't as much. So it could be pretty high scoring.
Yeah. What was it? First day of the season, Fernandez got the hat trick. Was it 5-0?
5-0, yeah.
I'll be selling Fernandez for that one. And we might come back to this because it'll help with your plans. But should we move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so quick look at how I'm set up for next week. This is pretty simple because it was all planned as part of the wild card. So that would be what I would do if I was playing my team this week. And yeah, I went from 72k to 55k. So that was a pretty nice jump. De Gea is interesting. I don't know. I have thought about that. If I didn't do anything, I probably would still go De Bruyne, but I don't know. Yeah, Goldies don't regularly score high points, but now and again they do, so it might not be the worst shout. But yeah, plan is to do De Bruyne to Fernandez, Captain Fernandez. That's it. There's no difficult decisions there, I don't think.
No, and I look at that and I think in a way you almost have to do that, because if De Bruyne is rested against Norwich, suddenly your captain is, say he gets 20 minutes at the end, or he might not even come on, in which case, okay, fine, you've got De Gea, but your bench isn't fantastic in terms of getting somebody on for De Bruyne. So whereas I think you can be pretty sure that Fernandez is going to play both games, it's a huge swing if De Bruyne doesn't play in that game. And if you bring Fernandez in for De Bruyne, Fernandez has obviously got the double at home against not fantastic opposition, and so yes, De Bruyne could smash Norwich, but Fernandez could at least match him, couldn't he, in those two games?
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about I forgot about the De Bruyne rotation risk. Yeah, that is going to be a bit scary. But I mean, when you wildcarded a week earlier than me and got De Bruyne in, were you always thinking around now you ditch him? I mean, because he's been amazing. Part of you think, with a good player scoring that well, you always think, should I just keep him? Why am I getting rid of someone like that?
Well, this is the thing, because when I wildcarded, I was looking at 3 City fixtures, and this Norwich one was the last of that 3, because I think they've got Spurs next. My plan at the time when I wildcarded was just go De Bruyne to Salah in 26.
Okay.
That was the plan.
Did you not have a double at that point when you wildcarded?
I can't remember, actually. Okay. I can't remember. I think if they had done, I may have tried harder to get Bruno, so maybe not. But I think it maybe was announced shortly after that game week. I can't recall. But yeah, that was the plan for me, was to go De Bruyne and Salah. But I think now and I had looked into when the Champions League restarted, but again, when it's now right on your doorstep, it seems more likely that he could potentially be rested for that Norwich game. And if he does play, I think he'll be taken off on kind of 60 minutes, especially if they're winning. But he could have a couple of returns by then. The other thing that just worries me about him is that he's done fantastically well for me on this wild card. And he is, as I say, he is a very, very, he's a fantastic player, and he can return in any game. But he was so lucky in that game the other night to get the points that he did. So if that happens again against Norwich, then great for people who keep him. But I am leaning more and more towards getting rid of him, which is a shame, because he has been really good for me.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, you can't always look into how people score, and
no,
whether it's lucky. I didn't see the numbers from the other night, XG or anything, but I only saw the 3 minutes highlights, but maybe had a load of other stuff that wasn't shown. He was definitely on loads of set pieces. There was one, I think it was swung in, was it Laporte just put it wide? I think that would have been an assist for De Bruyne.
Yeah, I noted that one and you would have done as well, but obviously De Bruyne assisted Laporte against Southampton, and that was pretty sweet as well. But yeah, if they keep combining, that's going to be great for us.
Bench order here and options. Would you play Breuer over Harrison maybe? It's
No, I
just
don't think
the
I. I
Everton
don't
a
think I. I
bad
don't think I
factor, and
would.
Bruyne still flagged. United okay when he scored against Spurs, but still a tougher game I think than Everton.
Yeah, I don't think Bruyne should be flagged, but I expect him to play against United, and he is good. And United's defence is pretty ropey, but it is still at Old Trafford. Everton, I think Everton are going to go down.
Right.
I don't think they've had the manager bounce and Lampard that they would have wanted, and they look pretty desperate. I mean, the fact that he didn't play DCL, and they didn't even bring DCL on when I think they were 3-1 down. You're just like, what's going on there? Why is he on the bench if you
Oh,
can't?
right. I didn't know that. They played pretty well, didn't they? In the was the cup game the first one for Lampard, and I
They,
thought it
yeah,
was
they played well in the FA Cup. I heard. I didn't see the game, but I don't think they were very good the other night. And I just think Harrison, obviously that was it. He got the hat trick a few weeks ago, didn't he? When no one was really thinking about him at all. But he is a quality player. He hasn't been great this season, but he's still got that in his locker, I think.
yeah, yeah. Obviously in hindsight, James would have been better, but yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. Right, let's move on to the meat of this then. So you went from 2.9 to 2.2k, rolled your transfer, so you got two frees. Benjamin's
Yeah,
maybe thinking about next week or triple captain, so that's kind of thinking in this trip strategy a bit. And currently, Ronaldo captain, bench is pretty set, so it's those 11 plus transfers.
yeah. I mean, we haven't spoken much, have we, about Martinelli? Super frustrating that he now doesn't have the double in
Yep,
26. That was
yep.
one of the reasons why I was delighted to have him on the wild card. Again, I can't remember whether that fixture was actually announced, but obviously I was expecting him to double. It was a really good double. Now I think it is just Wolves, which given I think
It's probably the
they
less
played
good
the
of the
night.
two, isn't it?
It's what? Sorry.
It's probably the less good of the two. Yeah, Brentford
Yeah,
was first, so that's off now for him.
exactly. So I mean, I've got a lot of potential permutations here.
Let's move on to that.
Yeah,
Well,
cool.
that's two of them, but that sort of
That's
adds
two
up
of
to some
them.
of the
That's
thoughts.
two of them. There are several. And this is obviously using live FPL to plan the transfers and take screenshots of these. But yeah, I think the big thing for me is being without Bruno. I think is scary this week. But the other thing is just how many hits I want to take, and then obviously forward planning for 27 and for 30 as well. So obviously with live FPL, with the transfer planning, you're able to see all of that that far ahead. But I think for me, if I'm thinking, for 26, I'm definitely going to have Salah back in. It's whether I bring Salah back in for one of Gallagher, Martinelli, or De Bruyne, and then if it's De Bruyne, I can keep Ronaldo for the Leeds game. But again, we've just discussed. I actually do think he's going to miss that Leeds game. If it's in for Gallagher or Martinelli, then it's Ronaldo down to probably Weghorst because of his double double. I think that just looks the most obvious, and that then gives me the money to bring Salah in. The Salah in for Martinelli thing, which obviously I wasn't even considering until he lost his double, is difficult because he misses 27, so Gallagher has a fixture in 27, so I would like to keep Gallagher and lose Martinelli, but obviously Martinelli is that much cheaper than Gallagher that the it's very, very, very tight on money, and I think even just Salah rising tonight probably ends the ability to go from Martinelli to Salah. So the
What
other thing I'm also
with
looking
Ronaldo
at,
to Weghorst, sorry, is the other one.
yeah,
Yeah,
with
okay.
Ronaldo to Weghorst, I think Ronaldo to Weghorst is pretty set for next week. So I think the choice this week is just whether I go Bruno to Bruno in for De Bruyne, just have that as my one transfer, and then do Ronaldo to Weghorst, and then Gallagher to Salah next week. And the nice thing about that, I think, is that I'd also have Bruno for the Leeds game as well, which I also expect him to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very difficult, and I've kind of been around the houses on it, and I still don't really know exactly what I'm going to do. But I think the more that we've been speaking, the more I'm liking the kind of De Bruyne to Bruno transfer. I'm not liking. I was considering, in fact, the kind of second one of these options is getting Ronaldo out, and effectively swapping him for Bruno this week and allowing me to captain Bruno instead of Ronaldo. But I think it's just a very sideways move, and it uses a -4 that I don't need to use. So yeah, I think I am leaning towards De Bruyne out.
So difficult, isn't it? Like if Ronaldo plays both games, I think it was Backer on the wire was saying if he had both, he would captain Ronaldo. I don't know if it's just that recency thing of what was it in the double game week, 3 for Ronaldo and 22 for Fernandez. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
And we don't know who's on pens. There's a lot of uncertainty, and if it does go the wrong way, I'm going to look really daft for having that kind of in the equation when I did it last week. I just didn't want that. Ronaldo just annoyed me too much, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did bring Fernandez in, would you captain him over Ronaldo?
That's the other very, very big question, I think. I think I probably would, yeah, because again, for me, it's as much about upside versus risk, and I think the risk, obviously, with Ronaldo is that we're wrong, and he is actually benched for one of these games, whereas I just don't think that there is the chance of that with Fernandez.
Yeah.
And even just watching the first half of the Burnley game, it was easy to watch that and think Ronaldo's not getting any returns here because he wasn't even on the pitch. But I guess that makes that point. But Fernandez did look like he was going to get returns. He's taking all the free kicks and he's getting in the right positions, and yeah, he's a quality player, Fernandez. And now that he's back in that number 10 role, I think he's going to go from strength to strength. So,
are you going to play that formation, do you think, for those next 3, or the Leeds being away and high energy, is that going to change? And maybe not with Ronaldo.
I still think he'll play that same formation, yeah, no matter who the opposition are, because I think there's been a lot of said about kind of Fred and McTominay, but I think that he'll have to play Fred and McTominay against Leeds to try and combat that, their energy and kind of maybe bring one of them across to double up with Shaw on Rafinha. So yeah, I think they will still play that same formation. I think Fernandez will definitely still be in the 10. I think Ranić's actually made a very sensible decision to go back to building the team around Fernandez, because he was obviously the big bright spark for Solskjaer, and I think moving away from that because they signed Ronaldo was probably the thing that cost Solskjaer his job, actually. So,
and I was just thinking whether a cheaper United asset would make this any easier, like Rashford or Darlow or something, but it doesn't really. If you do that this week, you're just going to have more cash in the bank doing nothing. So that doesn't really help, does it?
No, and I'm definitely getting salary in for 26. There's just absolutely no way I'm not doing that. So, again, I've looked at the permutations of going to Fernandez just for 1 week. So if I go Ronaldo, if I did the swap that I was looking at, Ronaldo out to Fernandez, it's then Fernandez straight to Salah. But obviously in that situation, I've still got De Bruyne. But I just think it's an extra transfer that I don't need to make. I actually, if I was going to do that, I might as well just captain Ronaldo, keep De Bruyne, make another transfer that prepares for 26. I've been looking a lot at Kieran Tierney but having looked at it a bit more, I love Tierney for that double in 26. But the fact that he doesn't play in 27, and yes, they might have another double in 28, but the fact that he doesn't play in 27 when I'm going to have 3 Liverpool means that I'm basically just bringing forward a game week 27 fixture into game week 26. So it's not really a double for Tierney. Is the way I'm looking at it now. So I think I'm leaning towards. It's really boring, but I think I'm actually leaning towards getting the other transfer I could just do this week is just get Kilman in for Lowton. So boring. And Kilman would be on my bench this week, but obviously with Aït-Nouri not now really being an option, because I do think there is the potential that Johnny comes back, and at least they kind of start easing him in, and Aït-Nouri loses minutes. Kilman, at least, he's played 90 minutes every single game, and he plays in 27, he plays in 30. They have a double in 26, although again I don't think it's the best double in the world. But yeah, it's really, really dull. But that's kind of the potential, is that I just go Kilman in for Lowton, captain Ronaldo, and then next week do Ronaldo down to Weghorst and Gallagher up to Salah. So
I mean, that would keep De Bruyne for a while. So
Yeah,
would you
it
have
would.
him for Everton when you wouldn't
Yeah,
normally have had him, and
no.
Spurs? Hmm.
Yeah, and that's the thing you see, because when you go through the ticker on live FPL, having De Bruyne for Everton at the moment, again, it seems too far away to kind of consider whether he might be rested for that. But again, there might be. I don't know when the second fixture of the Champions League is, and again, we won't know how they've done in the first
It's
leg.
here. It's before 29, so it's not a problem. I think there's FA Cup though, maybe around there.
What the second leg of this round coming up is after 29.
Before 29 for City and Liverpool, unless I've got
Oh
that wrong
wow.
here. And then the week
Okay.
after is United and Chelsea.
So Everton, so he should play Everton then, you would think.
But there is some FA Cup around here. But yeah, they're going to prioritise the league, I'm sure. I don't.
Yeah.
Like everyone's saying, that Liverpool and United, they've got, what is it, 7 games in February or something. I guess it's pretty similar for City. I think it's midweek weekend all the time. So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think the lack of Champions League makes it that free. But
No, but that's really interesting, because that game against Everton is the reason really to keep De Bruyne, because I don't love the Tottenham game in
I
26,
don't know, and
but
that could be anything. I mean, yeah, Spurs just conceded Southampton. The derby's,
yeah,
I think, a bit different. United will be. I mean, Conte's obviously going to try and prove something there, but that could be United at City at home. They're just amazing, aren't they?
yeah, and De Bruyne is brilliant in big games, against smaller teams, against everybody. But the Everton game for De Bruyne, it would be really nice in 27, because obviously in 27 I'm going to be benching at least 3 Liverpool. So yeah, it's really difficult. What would you lean towards, or just looking at it?
I mean, the De Bruyne to Fernandez, and then that just makes the most sense. I think that's the least hits as well, isn't it? That would take you down that, and then if you did that, you would do Ronaldo to Weghorst, Gallagher to Salah to
Yeah,
3.
yeah, or Martinelli. I think I'm point one. I think I can do. I think I may even be able to do Martinelli, which means having Gallagher for 27 when Martinelli doesn't have a fixture. That would be my preference, because otherwise I'm potentially down to just 10 players in 27. So if I can afford that, that's probably the move. And then I've got no Arsenal for 27, and that probably helps me. And yeah, it's no hits, because I've got two this week. Um,
Isn't it
yeah,
also another way of looking at it is, would you rather have Fernandez for Leeds or De Bruyne for Everton? Because that's
well,
2 of those options, isn't it? But you can only have one of those fixtures and players.
no, and it's a good point, because it isn't even just for Leeds. It's also I'd have Fernandez for Watford in 27, wouldn't I?
Hmm, right.
Which is also nice. So I could captain Fernandez against Watford. Um,
27 captain. That Spurs game, if you had Son, that would be good. I'm a bit annoyed at.
although,
Yeah, it
although
won't be.
actually, no, sorry, Weghorst is going to be my captain in 27, because they're going to have a double, aren't they? So
Okay. Of course he is, because Watford went so well recently. Get
no,
Joe
I
Pedro
know,
in there.
I know. But then the other question then for you is getting Pope in for their double double worth a -4,
No, I don't
because
think so. If he played in 30, yeah, we're not going to know that till after 28. But I just instantly thought no for De Gea, right? Because you're gaining one fixture. You do that in 27, yeah. Or do you do it?
yeah, I do it in 27, yeah.
But you're getting rid of
Although
De
they
Gea
have
of
the double they
Watford.
have the double in 26. United don't have a double in 26, do they?
Correct.
So I would do it in 26. I'd go,
Okay. All right. So you would gain 2 fixtures.
yeah,
You wouldn't have Watford at home. I mean, these Burnley fixtures are tricky, but for goalkeepers, sometimes a middle-ish fixture I think is better because they need the shots. Um, okay, maybe yeah. I thought, is that what you wrote on here? Oh no, you did in 26. Okay, yeah, okay, I missed that.
so that's for that -4. But the challenge there again is funds. So that probably does mean losing Gallagher rather than Martinelli to be able to even afford to do that.
But Gallagher hasn't got his double, so I know you
No,
love Gallagher, but I think you can probably swallow that. That Burnley fixture's quite
yeah,
interesting though, and Watford.
I do think Gallagher will have a couple more hauls this season. It's just you will not know when they're going to be.
Yeah.
But he is a class player on his day.
remind me, last season, Dallas, I don't know if you kept him, I think it was around game week 30 as well. He scored 2 against City, didn't he? And obviously Gallagher's done it this season. It's really mad how sometimes random midfielders do pop up there.
Yeah. So have you thought about Pope for the double?
No, because I've got Ramsdale and the United combo, so I get those 2, then I get those 2, then I get Watford. So if I was to do that, it would be for 27.
Yeah.
I'm not going to know if Burnley have got a 30 game. That would be a swing for me if that was the case, but I'd be gaining that fixture, and I'm pretty sure that week that's when I'm going to have to lose. Well, I've got Jota to Cornet question mark here. Cornet he was right out on the wing, wasn't he? I didn't think people were expecting that because I don't think he covers the wing backs very well, but that's what I was thinking then. McNeil maybe or something, but to be honest, that might be Martinelli to Ramsey by them.
Yeah.
So no, I'd probably have a transfer.
You've already got playing goalkeeper in 30, haven't you, with Ramsdale? Yeah, which is pretty nice. So I don't think Watford. Do Watford have a game in 30? I think are they against Everton? Do they need Everton to lose?
Well, that they can't get it, I don't think, through FA Cup type stuff, but I think there is some fixtures here that I haven't captured where James said there's a possibility of them dropping in, but I think it's pretty random. Things have to happen, like TV rights have to come together or something.
Okay.
That's not in here. The only grade 2 here is Burnley Southampton, which I think is, what is it? Southampton are still in the cup, aren't they? They got to lose at West Ham.
Who's got Everton though in game week 30? Because Everton are still in the cup, but if Everton go out, I think that game goes ahead. I think it is Watford.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, okay. Maybe I've missed that.
I thought so, but again, I could be wrong. But I thought it was Watford. And yeah, that'd be nice because then obviously I'd have.
So what are we saying? There's three options. You can either do De Bruyne to Fernandez straight swap.
Yeah. Or I can do really boring transfer, Lowton to Kilman, preparing for 26,
okay.
27, 30.
I thought that was off the table, but yeah.
And that then means obviously having De Bruyne against Norwich. It means captaining Ronaldo, and then it means next week doing Ronaldo to Weghorst and Gallagher or Martinelli to Salah, and then obviously having the additional -4 option of De Gea to Pope. Now, we haven't discussed this actually, but the reason why I quite like De Gea to Pope next week is because I am thinking about this potential bench boost, and obviously and Foster's got a double game week next week, so that would be kind of double game week bench keeper. Obviously, Pope would have the double, but if you go back to my team, there are a lot of players for that. You're not going to see the fixtures, but there are quite a few single game week players in there. So I think Villa have Watford next week.
Watford. City boys have got Spurs at home. Not great, but
not great, but they're still City.
Obviously got the lovely double. You'd have Salah,
Trent and Robbo.
Leeds. Who are the other sort of fringe players? Hanging on bench boosters. Everyone. João Pedro, Lowton, Martinelli.
So Watford have got the double. So João Pedro's got a double if he keeps his place in the team. I don't expect him to lose it necessarily, but.
That is quite good, actually, isn't it? You've got more doubles than I thought, and actually your single week players. And I know West Ham have got a really good run, but the likes of those, there's not an obvious bad fixture in there. So I'm sure that's on the plan. You're like, who do I bench?
Yeah, because that's the thing. I think those bench boosts. The bench boost is good for those weeks where you really can't decide who even would go third bench spot.
Yeah,
and that's
it's that rather than just getting a load of doublers in almost for the sake of it and chucking them on the bench. And getting rid of it would be kind of handy. Then you can start taking money out of different places. It would be a bit scary with 36 if it is still big. I didn't hear that from James, but maybe it is going to be smaller.
It would, but I think you and I discussed this recently, didn't we? That in 36, if it is a big double game week, I'll just have 11 double game weeks rather than 15. So, true. And I'll hopefully try and have the good ones. So it could hurt me, but if I'm still up in the higher ranks, then hopefully I can stay there by having a decent kind of double game week in 36. So I just like the idea of getting rid of it because it also means then I can I always quite like, especially towards the end of the season, just really maximising the value in the team. And so, I remember a couple of years ago, I jumped on, maybe we're not allowed to speak his name anymore, but like Greenwood and also Nketiah as well. I had like Nketiah and Greenwood, and obviously they were both playing, or certainly Greenwood was, and Nketiah kind of fell out. But I like that idea of suddenly going really cheap towards the end of the season and just really maximising the value in the first team. And obviously at the moment, my bench isn't crazy pricey with João Pedro and Lowton and stuff like that, but it'd be nice to go down to maybe your Brandon Williams on a luxury transfer if I can save up 2 or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. It's
really tough. I mean, even Villa as well. So you've got 2 of those, and they've got Watford. I mean, the other thing to consider is that you obviously couldn't then triple captain Salah, and he's going to be 250 easy. So you'd be hoping he blanks, but then you're laughing if they rotate before the League Cup final. It could happen. Everyone was
I'm laughing.
sure. I saw that Joe captained Salah this week, and he's like, I didn't go too well. I always had Jota in my team. I mean, there's just no way I would have done that this week. Yeah. It's risky. He's had all those 120 minutes. That Leeds game might be a bench.
Yeah, this is the thing. So and again, I would be captaining him, but it seems mad to in a week to be just hoping your captain blanks. I mean that is pretty. That would be pretty fantastic. But I think again the bench boost. I know it doesn't work like this, but in terms of just holding rank in 26, the bench boost I think would, even if Salah did well, it should kind of pay me back, or at least keep me level with those people. And then obviously I've still got the triple captain chip to play, and people, I think James thinks there will be another double game week for Liverpool at some point, and maybe he'll be, just as likely or more likely to play those games. I mean, it's not going to be Norwich and Leeds at home. I think that's when you see that, it's pretty difficult to look past that. But maybe I could play my triple captain in game week 36 and just pick the best captain that week. So who knows? It certainly
does remove that benching headache, that does look really tricky. And it's not like you're not owning Salah. It's not like Jota this week. It would be, that
would be suicide, I think, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And you'd captain him, yes. You'd have the 200%. What was my other point then? I can't remember what I was thinking.
But you're right. I mean, if Salah is 250% owned that week, I mean, that's amazing. It is basically like Salah being 50% owned and me not having him.
Yeah.
Which is pretty brutal if he's the best player in the game. He's the best player FPL's ever seen. And he's playing Norwich. He's playing Norwich and Leeds at home.
And then I suppose the opposite argument is, are you overthinking it? You've got those 2 home games. They're blue on the ticker. Chris on the that Hall was saying that Liverpool's attacking numbers for the next few are insane. I think the matchups are just so good. I mean, 3 home games is probably much of it. I think that Burnley game would be quite tough, but those 3, that could be big. And is he actually his rotation going to be come off at 60 rather than being benched? And you could do the damage by them.
Because he's going to be wanting to go for the golden boot as he always does. He's going to want to play every game like he always does. So
Klopp's going to want to play him. They've still got City in their sides. Triple captain 36 probably wouldn't be Liverpool because it's probably going to be decided by them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think I probably am overthinking it, because if you go back to my team, obviously if I don't need Pope for that game week, and I don't because Foster's got a double, so I would just play Foster instead. If I'm not bench boosting, I'm saving myself some transfers as well, and
yeah, that's true. You're bringing in Pope to maximise the bench boost, but it is for -4, so you're already 4 down.
Yeah,
and Salah 50%, you lose him. I can definitely see why you do it. There is a benefit in getting rid of the bench boost with some good points. I mean, did you see Chris in our league what he got this week on his bench boost? I think he only got 8 or something. Bless him.
I did see that. I felt for him actually, because
Ray he had for sure, and then I think it was 2s and 1s.
He captained Kane, didn't he? Which again was a really sensible decision on paper, but it just didn't work out. But yeah, I felt really bad for him because I think I was kind of still beating him on points even though he bench boosted. I felt
I thought the same. Yeah, he hasn't messaged me.
Poor guy. Chris, I look forward to meeting you one day and having a beer with you, mate. So commiserations on the bench boost, but there's still plenty of time left. So yeah, I think speaking to you about it actually helps a lot, because I think I should just triple captain Salah unless we hear anything from Klopp. But I can always make that decision on whether I get Pope in and kind of extend the bench boost next
Yeah,
week.
the bench boost can wait till next week. It's this week that's tricky, isn't it? So which way are you leaning at the moment, would you say? So that I mean, generally, it's interesting, isn't it, when you have that thought at this time, and then when I see a team at lunchtime, I'd be like, okay, either stuck with it or went with something else. But right now, if you had to, what would you do?
I think, as we've discussed it, I think I am. I want to keep my 2 free transfers for next week. So I think just making one transfer is this week is sensible. Obviously, I can't bring Weghorst in this week because I want Ronaldo for the double, and Weghorst has got Liverpool, so I wouldn't play him in that game anyway. Obviously, I could swap Ronaldo for Bruno, but I think that's a bit sideways. I think probably the most sensible thing is to bring Bruno in for De Bruyne, and that be my one transfer. And then next week I can keep Bruno when I bring Salah in. And the other nice thing about that, right, is that if Ronaldo goes bananas against Southampton and Brighton and scores mega points, but then gets brought off after 65 minutes against Brighton, I can look at it again and say, actually, do I just go Bruno to Salah and keep Ronaldo? I don't think that's very likely that will happen, but it means then it's just one transfer to get Salah in rather than 2 again, and I can maybe bring in a luxury transfer, like I can maybe bring in Tierney or something like that. So yeah, I quite like. I think I feel quite sad losing De Bruyne, and one of the just getting rid of him before Norwich just seems mad. But I think the flip side of that is that Bruno has a really good double. I think I would captain it. If you had both Ronaldo and Bruno, who would you captain?
Bruno.
You would.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But then that's worrying because Baka was like, I would definitely captain Ronaldo. I mean, yeah, that is such a big swing, isn't it? And I hate it when it is a big swing when it's based on the team sheets and you get your ping on your phone and you go, to the striker who's playing. But I am super worried he's not going to be there for one of them, so that'd be enough. And just the midfielder score more. If I knew one or the other was on pens, that might sway it. But because we're uncertain, I think that maybe helps Fernandez a bit. He might have a chance of that, and he's done it in the recent weeks. Like if Ronaldo doesn't play, that is much better for Fernandez, and not just pens, but the way they play.
Yeah, and the thing is, you've just another thing that complicates it is the fact that if Ronaldo hadn't missed that penalty in the FA Cup, I'd be probably fairly certain that Ronaldo would still be on pens. But he did miss that penalty, and we don't know. They may have an agreement that you miss one, the other person takes until they miss. So I still expect Ronaldo to pull rank and take the pens. But yeah, that would be frustrating. But again, it's that thing of captain versus ownership, isn't it? And if I swap Ronaldo for Bruno, as I was considering, and as I think is in one of those options, and then Ronaldo goes off, that'll be devastating. But at least if I've got Ronaldo, because he's not going to be anywhere near 100% owned, I don't think for the double. I guess there probably will be quite a few people who will captain him, but I don't.
Close.
Do you think he will be up close to 100%?
I think so. I don't know what the relative ownership is. He's going to be about similar to Fernandez, isn't he? And he'd probably, I don't know, like both at 120 or something, I think would seem about right for me. Don't know. I haven't actually looked at the captain polls this week, but well, and then look how that happened last week, because I was breaking it thinking Jota was 8th on the list, but I was like, yeah, that fixture does look so good and everything else seems okay apart from he didn't get a rest, and then look what happened. So I probably won't look at it this week.
Yeah.
I as well, silly things like you're a United fan, you can have triple United for a double. It just sounds perfect. Yeah. No way you can swap Ronaldo to Fernandez. It's got to be De Bruyne. The De Bruyne risk factor, I think that's definitely right. And then actually maybe next week's going to be even more tricky, and we'll have to book in a 2-hour.
Well, I mean, we've certainly got a lot to speak about next week. But I think that I think the big thing for me will be to bench boost or not to bench boost, and to triple captain Salah or not to triple captain. But I think my transfers are pretty much set next week. They're pretty obvious, unless obviously there's injuries or anything else. But I think Ronaldo to Weghorst and Salah in for Gallagher or Martinelli, depending on which one I can afford. If I can afford Martinelli, I'll probably get rid of him. But I think that seems fine. for next
We should
week.
definitely look at the Weghorst move next week though, because double is pretty cool. But is there something else there? You already got Watkins, haven't you? On the left in green are the kind of shortlisted strikers I've got on my list. You can't afford Kane. Antonio's probably off the boil. Broju's got some good fixtures, but 2 against Weghorst, 4 maybe not, and neither of them have a 30 game.
That's interesting, isn't it? You've just mentioned Kane. I mean, obviously Spurs have the double. I don't like the City game. I don't like the fact that Burnley's away, but I could next week. I've just said how easy it's going to be, but I could next week do. I think I could do Salah in for Bruno and then Kane in for Ronaldo. So it's just swapping double game weekers. But
that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look at that next week when we get to it. But yeah, you're pretty set. You are going to do De Bruyne to Bruno and captain Bruno.
Yeah, and I'll probably have a quick look just now. Even if they are going up and down, I don't think I'm going to do it tonight. I presume you're not tempted. I'm not tight on cash, so I'm going to wait. My worry is that I was just thinking as well that if I did wait, obviously then try and wait, see if you get any news. If there was any news, I guess it would be that Ronaldo was benched, and would that change my mind? I don't think so. I'm bringing Fernandez in anyway, but if Ronaldo started, would that change anything? No. I'd obviously be more annoyed because I'm hoping Ronaldo, well, he's not going to probably get benched 2 in a row, is he? But you know what I mean? Is there any benefit in waiting to tomorrow? Just in case, I think I still will.
Yeah, I'll have a look at the price changes tonight, but I think Salah's going to go up tonight. I think I don't think Fernandez was that close to going up tonight.
Yeah,
but
I think you're right. I think it was at minus something when I saw him like lunchtime-ish. So
oh really?
Yeah. So I'm pretty set. Yeah.
Okay. What time's the deadline? 11:30. 11.
I think it's 11. Yeah.
Yeah. Although it might be 10:30. Is there a 12 o'clock?
I thought it was 12:30, but I'm not sure. I've been a play park with Maggie, so I need to make sure the phone's charged up.
Oh man, I can't remember the last time I missed a deadline. I find it astounding that
Did you see that Magnus did?
Do what recently?
This week, he tweeted and said that he missed it by 15 minutes. He thought it was whatever time, but it was actually 15 minutes earlier, and he missed it. He had Jota captain, but I'm not sure what he was planning or anything. But yeah, it was quite funny.
Thing is, though, again, when you see things with Magnus, he's a different animal, isn't he? I mean, he could be in some big game or something like that.
No, it wasn't
Who knows what's going on
a tournament or anything. But yeah, it was just quite funny that he was tweeting again about something so sort of normal, and yeah, also some amateur, quite funny.
Yeah, no, he's a cool guy. We should probably chat about chess at some point, because I am starting to see it on Twitter a lot. Obviously, even some of kind of the old scout guys, as a lot of these people play chess as well. And I think there's something in that. Yeah, there's something about the cerebral nature of it and the planning and wanting to kind of outdo people. I think there's something in the whole FPL and chess synergy. So
yeah. Well, that has sort of replaced, as you know, I was getting a bit into it, but this has replaced chess for a bit. But yeah, I would like to get back into it for sure. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Right, we're at 68 minutes. I think we'll wrap it up.
Cool.
What do you think? Any parting words?
No, just thank you very much for the advice, and I think you've managed to, even just talking through all of that and having somebody to bounce those ideas off really helps. So I think I think it's made my transfer. Although I'll probably go and tinker now for 2 hours and get to bed late and ruin my whole weekend. But
yeah, no, ditto. Definitely useful talking it through. It's interesting, isn't it? Because this week we've both done okay, and the last few weeks we've been doing okay, and it's a feel-good feeling. It'd just be interesting what happens if, like, now I understand how difficult it is for people to come on when they've done shit. Because if I had an on half-time on Wednesday when it was Mahrez, not De Bruyne, and bloody Ramsey had gone off for you, I was like, this is going to be really difficult to talk this through. I'm down on the wild card. I've wasted it. What am I going to do? So that'll be quite interesting if that happens. But
well, yeah, I mean the flip side was that when Ramsey scored those goals and I was kind of up into the top 1K again, and obviously Jota hadn't played yet, I was just so looking forward to talking to you about it. And then with Jota last night, it left a really bad taste in the mouth.
You went up and down, whereas I went down and up.
Exactly. So if Jota had played the first game, I'd have been super down. And then if Ramsey had done that in the last game last night, it would have been totally different again. So I think, yeah, I hadn't thought about that before, but you do have to be careful to try and check your emotions midway through a game week, don't you?
Yeah. And I think as well, because we're both near wildcard, we've kind of had a rough plan, so it's kind of easy at the moment. Whereas I think in a couple of weeks it's going to be really tough. So yeah, I think that the chats will hopefully stay useful. But yeah, it might be a bit of a bit more planning. But yeah, it's been good. I think focusing on what you're doing is good because you maybe think of a few things coming forwards. I mean, the bench boost I kind of have thought about a bit with 26. I don't think I've got as good a bench as you, but that is interesting. It would be pretty cool to drop that in 26 rather than the triple captain. If that swing comes off, it would be nice.
Well, that's the other thing, right? I mean, you kind of want to do it in a
unique and Chris logs on and see you've dropped the bench boost and he's like, what the fuck is this guy up to?
Yeah, he sees Ramsey's third on my bench, and then suddenly Ramsey gets another 14-pointer, and he's pulling his hair out.
Yeah, but yeah, that's overthinking and trying to be too clever, isn't it? Maybe when it's Salah.
Right, maybe. I mean, obviously, if Salah gets injured or something like that, then it makes it, that would be kind of peak FPL, wouldn't it? If Salah gets injured just before this triple captain double game week. So
yeah, well, I thought you were going to say 10 minutes into the Norwich game. That would yeah.
Oh, that would make the bench boost exciting. Yeah. Right. Thank you again, sir, and good luck with the game week.
Thank you, Nick. Yep. Have a good weekend. Speak to you next week. Bye.
Sir. Bye.